Here we are, ladies and gents, back over here, bounding into comics. We're going to cover this article today, talking about Kevin Feige wanting more alphabet representation coming up in the MCU's forthcoming projects, like we didn't realize that from the Eternals marketing. But my question is, can we wait to see exactly what they're going to do before we start passing judgment, which is why the weirdos on Twitter call us istophobes, because we fire these preemptive strikes when we hear something. It's the knee-jerk reactionary stuff. I'm going to get into it in this video. I'm guilty of it too. I'm not infallible to criticism when it comes to this, because I find that most of these moves are made for the sake of virtue signaling and just a profit, not actually furthering the plight of some of these underrepresented people. Yes, there are underrepresented and marginalized people. True. This is very true. To use them for a profit, reprehensible. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it. Monkeys, roll the footage.
This is Lesbos!
Yeah, that works.
I like
all right,
that a lot.
okay. All right, moving on.
Hey, what about Tulip?
Kevin Feige, we want to showcase alphabet characters in the MCU. This article, Bounding into Comics, John F. Trent, yesterday, July 12th, 2021. Etapokuian right here with you. We're going to go through this article and we're going to talk about it because there is no problem with gay characters, lesbian characters, bisexual characters. No problem at all. None, okay? That being said, as long as you make their relationships, their proclivities, make sense in context of the story, awesome. But don't give me garbage writing for the sake of having a gay character. Do you see how that it really robs the character of having a good backstory when you just throw everything together and say, here it is, just take it. That's what she said. No, seriously though. I'm trying to be serious with this because this is so laughable. Because, I really used to respect Kevin Feige, but now I see that he's just another one of these Hollywood idiots bending the knee to the woke mob, the Twitter mob, which doesn't represent reality. And as many times as you say that, these asshats seem to misunderstand and misinterpret the fact that we're not bigots. We're simply telling you, as well as many members of the gay community and lesbian community, the alphabet community, have said, make the characters make sense. Don't sully our community for the sake of a profit, which is what Marvel tries to do.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them.
Marvel Studios boss Kevin Feige reiterated what he has been saying for the past couple of years, that Marvel Studios will showcase alphabet characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Again, no problem, as long as it makes sense. Most recently, Feige spoke with Rotten Tomatoes, because Rotten Tomatoes is very trustworthy, where he discussed the current state of Marvel's Phase 4, which includes WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki and Black Widow. Okay, so far, let me break this Phase 4 lineup down. Shite, super shite, boring shite, and passable shite. He told Rotten Tomatoes,
representation is important across the board, Z's, and the comics has charts the path in almost all ways for what we do in the MCU. In the comics, there are many alphabet characters, and we want to showcase that on screen as well. We want to bring those characters to life on screen.
Give us good characters. If they're gay, they're gay. Don't take Cyclops and Wolverine and cuck them out and make Jean Grey pit them against each other and then, oh, well, we're in a three-way relationship. No, you're not, because Cyclops and Wolverine aren't bisexual. They're not gay. It doesn't happen like that. You don't just take two of the X-Men and be like, you know what? We're just going to make them start banging on their comics, and people will love it. It's so super stunning, so super brave. No, see, this is what turns people against the community, and that's not fair to them, because the gay community is filled with wonderful human beings who are not as evil as they're portrayed by the weird conservative media, who seems to think that being gay in 2021 is still bad. This is what I want to say. Like I said, and I feel like I'm just sitting here beating the drum as I've got a drum set over there. Just make these characters make sense. Develop them well. Give them a good story. Give them a backstory. And then, hey, you know what? This character's gay. And everybody's going to be like, well, why don't you tell me more about their power set? You know? Oh, they have a relationship? Well, let's see how that plays into the main story. Does something happen to their partner? You know what I mean? It's things like that. Basically, make or break your story. But the writers at Marvel don't seem to understand that, especially on the comic side of things. I love it. All these comic pros now. The comic book industry is back, baby. No, it's not. It's still in the toilet, and independent comics is still king. We also, as Stan Lee used to say, Marvel represents the world outside your window. And outside of your window, there are all different types of people in different types of places with all different types of preferences. And we want that reflected in the MCU and in our fictional world as it is in our real world, he continued. Okay, let me tell you now, demographically speaking, I look outside my window. I don't see people of color because I don't live in a overly diverse area, okay? I have lived in areas like that. You know what? It was just fine. No issues, no problems. People got along fine. Because you know why? People are decent to each other and kind, which is a rarity in this day and age. But hear me out. So the world outside your window. You may not live in a diverse area. You may not live in an area. You may live in a diverse area. You may live in a rural area. You may live in an urban area. Your world view is made up of your experiences. You know, your life makes up your worldview. The things that you consume help shape your worldview, inform your worldview. I was raised in a household where there were some prejudices and biases, but I was not raised with those views reinforced upon or forced upon me. I was raised to treat people kindly with respect and dignity, which is how I try to conduct myself unless somebody gives me a reason not to. So, that being said, my interactions with the gay community have largely been positive. And I say the gay community, that encompasses everything. I have a cousin who's transgender. Do I agree with the fact that she's a guy now? No, she's still a woman. You can't change your... It doesn't work like that. I don't want to get into a whole biology lesson. And it doesn't work like that. You can't change chromosomes. You can lie to yourself and everybody in the world, but at the end of the day, you are what you are. That's not bigoted. That's reality. The reality of the situation is you and yourself can play pretend and pretend you're something you're not, like Rachel Dolezal, like Sean King. You know, you can mutilate your body in any way you see fit through surgery, but you are what you were born as, and that's what you are for the remainder of your days on this earth. Again, that being said, that doesn't mean that you have to be an asshole to people who you don't agree with. You can respectfully agree to disagree and just let each other have your own space and not interfere with each other. As long as somebody doesn't hurt you or hurt those around you or do things to, purposely insult you, why would you bother them? This is my thing. Feige then stated, so it's of the utmost importance that when people go in and see one of our films or log on to Disney Plus and watch one of our series that it represents the true world outside their window when it comes to types of people portraying the heroes and characters. Why real world politics have to be inserted into this? Oh, you're saying it has been done since the beginning of comics. Absolutely. Does every little nitty-gritty piece have to go into the movies? No, you can make these movies fun, but you choose to try to shove your ideology into them now because the good part of the MCU is over. It's done. We had 21 or 22 good films and a couple shite ones. The shite ones, of course, are Cat Pan Mediocre and Spider-Man Far From... Or not Spider-Man Far From Home. That's a new one. What was the... Yeah, isn't it Far From Home? Wasn't that the shitty one where they went on the field trip? I've seen it once and I'll never watch it again. It was so bad. But the one with Mysterio, those are horrible. And I don't even know why that's part of the MCU. It's terrible. It's a terrible movie. What is interesting in these recent comments from Feige is that it echoes Marvel Studios producer Victoria Alonso's comments about how Marvel Studios follows the comics. And Victoria Alonso is a complete moron who knows nothing about the comics, knows nothing about the lore. Oh yeah, that was Sanaa Amanat. You see, they're both idiots who know nothing about the source material, but they were hired because they check boxes. That's the problem with Hollywood. You're not worried about... This is why we have ideological garbage in our entertainment now. Because we have activists, not writers. This is the problem. Do you see that? Do you see where this is coming from? We can keep complaining about bad movies all day, but until the culture in Hollywood changes, nothing is going to change. However, anyone who has watched a Marvel Studios film knows that the company hardly ever matches the comics. In fact, it takes great liberties with many of the characters. Oh yeah, it absolutely does. Any chance that they can have to have Sam Wilson lecture us and tell us we need to do better at the end of a series where we're all sitting there rolling our eyes going, oh my God, is this shit over with? Because this was the worst Marvel trash I have ever seen outside of Cat Pan mediocre. Falcon and the Winter Soldier was complete and utter garbage. It was garbage. WandaVision was acceptable, except the end fell apart. Loki, like I said, I gave up on Loki after watching the first episode 3 times to stay awake through it. I'm done. I'm completely done with Loki. I said last night, I was like, I'm going to try to watch this. And then the more I thought about it, I'm like, I'm not going to dedicate another 5 hours to that trash. I'm done. In fact, just back in May, Feige seemed rather clear that Marvel Studios did not take cues from the comic books when it came to their stories. In fact, did not look at the popularity of a character to determine whether or not they would adapt it to live action.
He was a retard.
Which is kind of funny, because if they did that, they never would have made Captain Marvel, and Black Widow would have been made 8 years ago. But that's neither here nor there nor anywhere. Referencing the early X-Men and Blade films, Feige told Men's Health. That sort of proved early on that it wasn't about how famous the character was, but about how great the potential was for becoming a cool movie or a series of movies.
Come on, don't bullshit me.
All right, so Blade. We started with diversity. Blade is a black vampire. And now they're like, oh my God, Marvel Studios presents Blade. Mahershala Ali, it's going to be so diverse. And we're like, and where's he at? And Blade is sitting back, and I don't have Blade 3, but he's sitting back going, am I a fucking joke to you? Am I a joke to you? Like, I haven't existed since, what, 1998? It just, cinematically. You know, if it wasn't for Blade, the MCU probably wouldn't exist. So let's pump the brakes on, we need to make this so diverse, because it was already diverse. You morons just think that nothing existed before 2016. This is the problem with these people. The best thing about WandaVision was her in this outfit right here, because not only is it comic accurate, but my God, is Elizabeth Olsen beautiful. Another interesting factor about Feige's comments is that he specifically corrected himself in the comics chart the path for the MCU and its way forward. And it does seem clear that the MCU is taking cues from the current crop of Marvel comic writers, as evident in Marvel Studios' foray into television on Disney+. Like the comics before, they are abandoning the focus on storytelling and instead putting their emphasis on a political agenda and acting as propaganda. That is the face of just a cuck. It is. This guy looks like somebody that he would pay you to come over, bang his wife, and then pay you before you leave and shine your shoes and probably send you off with a new pair of Nikes, because that's what kind of guy this is.
You serious?
This is a problem. I want to go up to this paragraph again right here. And this is, where's Kelly Sue DeConnick? What comics are you reading that aren't political? If you don't like my politics, don't buy my book. That's why Captain Marvel's been rebooted 8 times, 9 times, 10 times in the last decade. You stupid cow. And your movie was shite. It's the lowest rated MCU movie there is, which is funny. But no, Feige is a moron. Yes, comics have always been political, but there was both sides to the, to the politics. It wasn't just, hey, anybody white or male is bad, like it is now. Prolific Punisher writer Chuck Dixon even noted how poor Marvel Comics has been in the past couple of years. He noted in a recent episode of Ask Chuck Dixon, what's out now for the big two is, for the most part, poorly crafted. There's a few exceptions, but for the most part, it's poorly crafted, poorly conceived, and there's an obvious political agenda to everything, and there's no variety. Exactly what everybody has been saying and being called bigots for it. Nobody wanted Riri Williams. Nobody gives a shit about Kamala Khan. Nobody cares about America Chavez. Nobody cares about Squirrel Girl. You made Iceman gay. Iceman wasn't gay. It's just, what are you doing? What are you doing? Yeah, and I know I'm like, create new characters. Good characters. America Chavez is an alien from another planet, but she has to be a Puerto Rican lesbian from a single-parent home who's more OP than Superman. I mean, Kamala Khan, she's faced no struggle, nothing. She gets mad because her parents are strict. And it's not just comic book veterans like Chuck Dixon sounding the bell. Even Marvel Studios' own director James Gunn recently revealed his thoughts on a recent superhero fair, describing it as boring. Gunn recently stated, "They're mostly boring to me right now. I loved them at the beginning, and there are still people trying to do different things with them, so it's not a 100% rule, but a lot of them are boring. If Feige continues to follow the path Marvel Comics laid out, the shine of the MCU might quickly turn to rust." Bottom line is, I think Kevin Feige is a virtue-signaling goddamn fool. I think he is overrated. I don't think he's as big a genius or a fan as he claims to have been, and I think there's evidence out there to back this up, which if you look, you can find it. This is doing a great disservice to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which was largely built on great characters, great stories, compelling stories that people invest in. You know, all the way from Iron Man, Thor, Black Panther, Ant-Man, Captain America, Black Widow, Hawkeye, you know, even to a lesser extent, the Hulk, because Mark Ruffalo is just a piece of shit as the Hulk and Bruce Banner. But seriously, Feige is not doing himself or the Marvel Cinematic Universe any favors with this. You can see the writing is on the wall. Every character now is basically female. And there's nothing wrong with female characters. Somebody's gonna sound like that. Like, oh my God, he's so misogynistic. He hates females. No, but going from having what we had to all these female characters now that are largely garbage. Captain Marvel, America Chavez, Miss Marvel, nobody gives a shit about them. Photon, Monica Rambeau, remains to be seen what they do with her, but I have a feeling they'll probably make Scarlet Witch even worse than she was in WandaVision. So what do you guys think, though? Like I said, I actually kind of feel bad for the people in the alphabet community because they catch so much heat for what these people try to do to virtue signal. You know, people like Kevin Feige. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. If I've earned it, please let today be the day you subscribe. Don't forget, slap that like button on the way out. I'm Etepo Kuyin of The Place to Be Reviews. I've been here with all of you. If I don't see you, have a great day, a pleasant tomorrow. I'll catch you on the next one. And remember, it's better to burn out than fade away. And when you see me on video next time, probably tomorrow, this will all be, well, not gone, but it'll be a lot less. It'll be trimmed and neat and groomed. So look a little more presentable, a little less homeless. I'm gone.